What's good, YouTube fans? Fans, we're in a brand new video. It's week 16 thoughts. At this point, it's just thoughts. There's barely any predictions, but don't worry about that. The first game was the Jets versus Jags. The Jags pretty much blew them out. I mean, it wasn't even really a game. The Jets look awful. They have no quarterbacks. Their quarterbacks look terrible. Zach Wilson's awful. They even pulled him. That's how bad he was playing. I mean, it's rough. And Jacksonville, they're winning that division. I promise you that they're winning that division because the Titans are looking bad and they're looking good. I mean, come on. Jaguars are winning the AFC South. Mark it down right now. The next game, there's a bunch of 1 o'clock games on Saturday, Christmas Eve. The first one we're going to talk about is the Bills-Bears. The Bills absolutely dominated that game. It was close in the first half. The Bills were actually down 10-6 at the end of the first half. But then they just started scoring in the second, and they just blew it open and won 35-13. Bears are really bad. Justin Fields is like an average. I mean, he's not a very good passer, and he's a great running back. So you know how it is. You know my stance on it. Buffalo, they're trying to get the 1 seed now, so they are fighting to win, and they look pretty good. The next game is the Browns and Saints. The Browns were not able to pull this one out. Deshaun Watson just does not look good. He looks like he looks rusty because it looks like he hasn't played in like a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's been at this point. I think it's been a year and a half. The Saints, they think they're going to win the division now. Like, bro, get away. Like, I need this Eagles pick to be better than what y'all doing. They keep finding wins. Like, come on, let's stop this now. Eagles play them next week, so hopefully that should be a loss. We'll see. But, I mean, that's all I got for that game. The next game is Kansas City and Seattle. Kansas City won very easily. Geno Smith looks like the Geno Smith everyone thought he was going to be at the beginning of the year. He had like a good 9-10 games this year, and it looks like it's slowly just coming down. I think it's going back to reality. He's not that great of a quarterback. I think it was all gassed up during the season because he was playing well in the beginning, but he's not that good. Chiefs are a great team. I mean, they're going to make a run for Super Bowl. Like, they're going to be a contender, obviously. And that's just a win they have to get because they're at home, and they do. It was very simple. The next game was a pretty crazy game. It was the Vikings-Giants. It seemed like every time the red zone popped up with the Vikings-Giants game, the Giants continued to have the ball like they were making a comeback. They almost did. I mean, they tied the game up, and the Vikings ended up just going down, scoring a field goal, 61-yarder to win the game. I mean, that's basically been the Vikings season all year. Just close games to the end and barely getting away with them. And I think it was like 9 games they've won by a last score drive. I mean, they've been able to get those wins, and that's what really is putting them up top this year. I mean, I don't think they're going to be good in the playoffs. I think they're not going to go far. I think they're honestly, depending on who they play, they might be a first-round exit. But still, hey, they're playing well enough to win. I wouldn't say well because they are getting like leads blown a little bit, but they're winning. You know, we'll see. The next game is the Bengals-Patriots. The Bengals ended up winning, and after a disaster last week with the Patriots, it looked like they almost were able to sneak one out and get a win, but Stevenson fumbles the ball inside the 10-yard line. Bengals get it back. They still ended up punting, but then the Patriots couldn't do anything. They weren't able to drive and get a touchdown. I mean, I think the Patriots might still end up getting their way in. The Bengals are looking hot. They're playing hot. I mean, they're looking great, so they got no problem. They're honestly looking for the 1 seed. I know Kansas City and Buffalo has to lose a couple. They probably won't get it, but hey, they have a fighter's chance. I mean, they're hoping for it. The next game is the Panthers-Lions. Those gritty Lions, man, you thought they were making a run. You thought they were getting to the playoffs, and what do? They become the Lions, and what do? They lose to the Panthers, a terrible team, but not anymore because the Panthers can win the NFC South, and I'm going to mark it down. They will win the NFC South. I will guarantee it right here, right now. I'm guaranteeing it. They win the NFC South. You could clip this and show me it when they do because they will. Trust me. And then the next game is the Ravens-Falcons. I mean, what a bad game that was. But honestly, most games when the Ravens don't have Lamar, they are not fun to watch because they have no weapons on the outside. Their running game's all right. Like, they have some pretty decent backs. I mean, it seems like they get hurt a lot. And then Huntley's not fun to watch. I know it's like, because it's like a bootleg Lamar, and that's not fun to watch. I want to watch the real Lamar, not the Lamar we got at home. Like, I don't want to watch that. Like, sorry to Huntley. Like, he's good enough to make the NFL, but he ain't that great. Like, you know how it go. But they won that game. Falcons pretty much gave up their season when they started Ritter. He looks terrible. He looks absolutely awful. But they're trying to see what they got in him, and they're going to be looking for another quarterback, I imagine. Then the final game of the 1 o'clocks, because it was a 2 o'clock game, because the Titans had to back it up an hour. They had to delay it an hour because it was something with the power in Nashville. I mean, Jesus, what is wrong with y'all? But that game was delayed to 2, and the Tennessee Titans do not know how to win football games, bro. They lost to a 1-win Texans team. 2 wins now. But, like, geez, bro, what are y'all doing? They're the worst team in football. They got, like, 6 different starters at quarterback, bro. I don't even know who's playing half the time. It's like every time I look, it's a different quarterback in there. Like, bro, y'all lost to that? I know Malik Willis was in because Tannehill was hurt. He doesn't look that good. If he could shore up his passing, maybe he could. He doesn't even look that great running the ball. He's looking rough for him. I don't know. He might not be good. He might not be fit for the pros, but you never know. Then that brings us to the 4 o'clock games. The Niners beat the Commanders with pretty much ease. I mean, the Niners have been playing very well. You know, the Niners are a good football team. You figured they were going to win that game. The Commanders, they're awful. I saw Wentz end up getting in the game, and I still don't know if he was put in because Heineke got hurt or if he was pulled. But regardless, Wentz went in. He didn't look great because it's Wentz, and you figured he wouldn't. I think that Washington's done. They are done. They're not doing anything the rest of the year. They look awful. I think once they lost, that was it. They're not winning. They might not win another game this year. Like, they're going out bad. Then the game you've all been waiting for, the Cowboys-Eagles, my Eagles, man. You know how much I love them. It was a rough watch. I mean, they looked awful. They had 4 turnovers, or it was 4 or 5 turnovers. They looked terrible. It was an awful watch. Gardner Minshew showed why he is not the starting quarterback, and that if he was a starting quarterback all year, they would not be as good as they are. They'd be a good team, but they wouldn't be as good. Because Hurts, if Hurts was in that game, they blow out the Cowboys. It's not even a doubt in my mind that they do. It doesn't matter what you think. I don't think they would have. The Cowboys, they're not that good. I'm gonna be honest. They don't look that good, and I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, but they won. You're just butthurt. They won. They didn't look good. I'm gonna be honest. Their offense looked pretty good, except when he threw some bad picks. There's some bad calls, but besides the point. Eagles should have won that game. If they don't turn the ball over, they win that game. But, hey, what are you going to do? They turn the ball over, and that's what happens. It was a last-second drive, and they almost got it, but they couldn't come out with the win. Made me a little sad, but all they got to do is win the next 2 games, and they lock up the 1 seed. So I think they'll be fine. I'm not worried. As long as Hurts comes back, they'll be okay. And then the Sunday night game, which was the Steelers-Raiders. The Steelers ended up winning that game. Pickett ended up getting a game-winning drive. Good for him. He's not a great quarterback, but he did do that, so good for him. Raiders are a bad team. We knew this. This was the Franco Harris game. Rest in peace to him. It was the 50-year anniversary on Friday, and then they played Saturday night, and he was supposed to get his jersey retired there. He did get his jersey retired still, but he did die a few days before. It was very sad. Rest in peace, him. Love him. Great, immaculate reception. One of the best plays in football history. Then the next game was the Packers-Dolphins. The Packers ended up winning. Tua looked absolutely god-awful in the 4th quarter. Well, the 3rd and the 4th. The second half, he was just awful. The first half, he looked pretty good, really solid. The second half, this man threw 3 picks, a game-ending pick. I mean, he went bad. But the Packers, hey, they can still make the playoffs now. They win the next 2 games, and Washington loses 1, and they're in. So, hey, you never know what could happen. There's no reason they can't beat Minnesota and Detroit. They're both in Green Bay. So the real question is going to be if Washington will lose one of the next 2 weeks. So I don't know. We'll see. Then the next game, one of the boringest games of the year. You thought it was going to be boring because the score is going to be like 9-4. Well, 4 you can't get that, but that would be crazy. You know, it'd be something the Broncos could do. But anyway, you thought the score was going to be awful like that, like 9-6, 9-3 type of game. It was 51-14. The Rams absolutely killed them. And Russell Wilson looked god-awful. He was the worst thing about it. He was so bad. He threw like 3 picks, maybe 4, I forget. They ended up pulling him. It was so bad. He was awful. And then the next day, the coach gets fired, which I thought they should just do at the end of the year or at the bye. I don't know why you just did it now. It's kind of random. I mean, it's good that they did it because he's awful. He's a terrible coach, but it's going to be rough. They got it rough, going rough. Then the night game was the Bucks-Cardinals. You know the Bucks, they get the luckiest wins in the world, bro. Cardinals were winning for most of the game, it seemed. And then the Bucks brought it to overtime. They ended up winning in overtime. You know, hey, Tom Brady, fuck Tom Brady. But, like, bro, I don't know, bro. Fuck that. Cardinals are awful anyway. It shouldn't have been that close. The Bucks cannot do anything in the playoffs. And I don't care that they won. Panthers still winning the NFC South. I told y'all to write it down. And y'all better keep it down because they're going to beat the Bucks next week, I promise you. And then the last game was the Colts vs. Chargers. The Chargers won very easily. The Colts are a really bad team. We should be surprised by this. Jeff Saturday not going to be the coach next year. Justin Herbert looks like he's going to get into the playoffs for the first time in his career. We're going to see what he could do. See if he can prove me wrong. Is he a good quarterback? Can he do it at the highest levels? We'll see, because they will be in the playoffs, but I don't know. So that's going to do it for Week 16 thoughts. If you guys enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and comment if you like.